Thank you very much for sending me a book and your paper. I did my best to read them in the time, because they are not read that quickly, are they? But I've done my best to acquaint myself with your work. And so if I...
Right, well now how shall we begin?
You wanted to discuss the relationship between time and eternity.
Yes, now, yes, I heard part of one of your tapes until it broke. But now I've been interested, I don't know if you got far enough in the book to see that I'm interested in the question of time and what is beyond time, haven't you?
Yes. I think I have pretty well absorbed your ideas, although I wouldn't like to say I have. But I think I have. I think I know where you are at, if I might say that.
Yes, now I was proposing that time would take the form of moments or movements of different scales, right?
Yeah.
You know, and some might be long, some might be short, and that these are a kind of projection from what is beyond time.
Yes.
Now, the moments succeed each other, and each moment contains, in some way, a memory of the previous one, which contains a moment of the one before, and so on. So there's a natural unfoldment of order in this succession of moments.
Or continuity.
Yes. But it's also that each new moment has something which was not in the previous one, but it has a memory of the previous one. And it's like these Russian dolls, a bit, one within the other.
Yeah.
But there's something more in each moment than there was something new, right, creative. Now, the memory is carried along, and some of it is lost, right? And I want to propose that as far as natural objects are concerned, a similar way of describing them should be developed. That they have their own moments, and vast sets of moments organized.
Yeah.
Or even our own consciousness might have some moments in it, the general moment and sub-moments.
Yes.
And now, all of this unfolds from what you may call eternity, although the word suggests endless time, which is not the best word. This is for me. Why?
I have to say,
Why?
I think I should say, if I might respond, when you say endless time, which is not acceptable to you, what you consider to be time is not time at all, where I come from. And as therefore, time is endless. Time has no time. But what you consider to be time is past. And that is where the fundamental error of science occurs. That is a fundamental error.
Yes, well, time is the past in the sense that and it cannot be described without the past, right? Because it's only, if we say now, it's already past, clearly.
Yes.
So, but there's a constant succession of these moments, in the sense that what is past now is different from what was past a moment ago.
Yes.
Right?
And that is time.
That is time. And the present moment contains a memory. The past of the present moment contains a memory of the past moment.
Yes, and that is continuity.
Yes.
But time is discontinuity.
The time is, what do you mean by that?
I mean that it is new every moment.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say, that there's always something new in each moment, but it also contains the old.
No, well, yes, but it doesn't contain the old. The old is the old is implicit in it,
but
it doesn't contain the old.
Well, that's what I mean by contain. It's enfolded in it.
Okay. Okay, but where are you coming from? Are you coming from the past, or are you coming from the moment, which is the discontinuous? That's the fundamental question, isn't it? Where are you coming from? You see, I have to say this just so we get where we are. I have to state my position, because unless one states one's position, you can't understand where I'm coming from. Would that be fair enough? I take a certain position, which is no position. So therefore, I have to say to you, I am consciousness. I am in eternity now. I am consciousness.
All right.
Right. Now that's fair enough, because you can question me on At least you know where I come from.
Yes. Now, I'm trying to say, from the point of view of science, at least it has not been possible to take that position insofar as you want to describe it and to communicate it,
But you seem to be coming up towards it.
Yes, we're exploring it, you see.
You are, anyway.
At least I'm exploring it. But I'm saying that, in general, as soon as you say something about it, then that's in the past, right?
Yes.
Now, you're making a sort of a picture or a model of it, saying a nested set of moments which unfold each other.
Yes.
And then it is implied. Now, so if you start from there, then the present is implied, right? Hmm?
Yes.
Whereas you want to say start from the present and the past is implied. Huh? Is that what you're saying? Hmm? Right or wrong?
There is no past in the present.
Well, but what is the memory?
That is the notion. Memory is the notion, and the notion is what comes between the present and the past. That might be so.
I don't think it is.
No, I see. Okay. One is holding on to. That's the memory, right? There's a part of us that holds on to.
Yes, but you, for example, you are still using memory. I mean, you may remember this occasion. Right?
Oh, yes, if I want to, yes.
Yes.
I have access to a memorable
Yeah.
apparatus.
Yes.
But can I be present? Can I demonstrate my presence? That's the important thing, isn't it? To demonstrate presence, which means I am discontinuous. My consciousness, like yours, is discontinuous. Therefore, I can discuss time or eternity with you and demonstrate it to your reasonable satisfaction where you would be able to continue to listen. The point is that in us being together, only one of two things can happen. There are two consciousnesses here. Two consciousnesses. One is what you call the implicate order, which I say really means the implicit order.
Yeah.
Not implicate, because that suggests to me action.
What
Implicit.
suggests action?
The AT or ATE on the end of it suggests
Well, it can be
some sort of
also
projection.
suggest an adjective, you see. No, that is implicate. But,
To implicate, yes.
no,
means-
but I mean an adjective, implicate. You see that that is eight can also sometimes be used as in an adjective form. You see.
Then it seems to me that only the two things can happen here. The consciousness of two individuals is here now, and one is the scientific and the other is the other, whatever the other is. It's a wonderful thing where you are going to inform my consciousness and I'm going to inform yours.
Yes. Now, what about these?
I'm going to try and bring you onto the discontinuous in your consciousness, and you are endeavoring to get there, or you are there anyway, by what you're writing, because you're coming up from matter, from particles.
Mm.
You're coming up from the particles up to the whole, and I'm coming, what I say I'm coming, I've got to demonstrate it to you, from the whole. I have reached the whole.
Yes. Now, why is there two people? You see, if there's a whole, you see, that's the first question. Why are there many people? You see, as in the whole.
Because they are of the extricate order, your extricate order.
Explicit order. Yeah.
Yes, they are of the past. My body is of past. I am continue only of past.
Well, yes, I was not clear because you see, you depend on the body to exist, right? In the sense, if something happens to the body, for example, if the heart stops beating, then you're not there, right?
Well, that is not demonstrable, but it is demonstrable as far as you can ask the person to respond to you and they can't respond.
No. Well,
That's fair enough.
Yes, at least there's a very fundamental change without the body, right?
Yes, because the presence goes out of the body, so therefore the past cannot exist on its own. It has to have the presence of consciousness present. See, consciousness is presence.
Yeah.
And without the consciousness in the body, the past is left and the past cannot. It just
Well,
goes. Would that be so?
well, let's take matter in general, you see, the whole world, right? Now, do you say it's there or not there? I mean, we have the world of nature and so on, the universe.
Yes. Yes. Is it there?
Yeah.
You are there now. Yes, everything is here now. Yes, it is.
Yes, but I meant, is it there without
The presence of consciousness.
somebody's conscious, without Mike? Well,
There is a continuity of past in it. As the past, it is there. As a continuity, but continuity is not the truth. As you say in here, you reveal it, continuously say it.
Right.
You mention about this new discontinuity, where the electron can be both matter and wave and something in between. That is a discontinuous state. That is the truth. Now, why, when you say it there, why is it so different what I'm saying? You're saying exactly the same thing, but applying it only to an electron or a particle.
Well, yeah. You see, I think we've got to get clear. If we begin, for example, you yourself use the notion of evolution. We say that now scientifically it's commonly accepted that evolution took place in nature.
Yeah.
And
that's a past model, let us say.
What?
A good model of the past.
Yes. All right. Now, do you say it has taken place or not?
Yes, in the past.
Yes. But
there's a continuity too, a demonstrable continuity.
Yeah.
It's the past is always demonstrably continuous up to the present. But there's another state which you're trying to say in there and get to, which is the ever-present state of consciousness. But then there is the present of ever-present state of past consciousness.
Yeah. Well, the past is constantly present, right?
Not all of it. Only
some
in
of
the
it.
moment. Only what is here now. I mean, your
Yeah.
body is present now. That is that represents the past, as I say, and so does mine.
Yes.
The past is present in as much as my body is past, and all that contains the past in it. But at this moment, it is present as the past, and that's all that is present is the past, because all that exists
you
is
say
in
all
the past.
matter is the past, but you
Yes.
say, but if it is present, it's also the present.
No, the consciousness is present, Mr. Bohm.
And what about all of these things?
These things are reflected are reflected as present in the consciousness, but only the consciousness is present. That's why you can take a thing away, and the present still is. So you can take everything away, and that's what happens in death. And the consciousness, the presence, still is. And that's what happens in sleep, in deep dreamless sleep. The present still is. But I can't demonstrate that, but so everything is reflected in the consciousness observing it.
Now that's
As the present.
Yeah, but so is there some reality beyond the consciousness, to which this corresponds? You see, saying, does this have some ground beyond our own particular consciousness?
Yes, that has the ground. That has the ground of the past.
Yeah, but the past. Yeah.
And the past is the ground of the presence in this sense-perceived existence. The past is the ground of the presence, which I am in this pen and you, in this sense as consciousness in this sense-perceived existence. That'd be fair enough, wouldn't it? Therefore, could I demonstrate it further? If an experiment which you are conducting with your electron and firing an electron, and you've got a lens and various other things, and you are here, the ground of it all is all the objects, and the presence, which is the present, is the observer. Inasmuch as he leaves himself out, he is just a part of the past, all interacting, and therefore nothing is achieved, nothing of value. Nothing of value is achieved. Only when the observer is a part of the whole experiment, includes himself. As a matter of fact, I wrote this after reading it. The observing apparatus is the experiment. And unless he does that, he is achieving nothing whatever. He will go on splitting particles and finding more and more and more, because he is then in the infinite world of the past, and it is infinite. Now, infinite there does not mean something of value. It means something of everlasting ignorance. But I have to demonstrate that to you. So therefore you can go out into space there, which represents the everlasting infinite, and you can travel on forever and ever and never find the truth. Doesn't matter where you go, or into the world of a particle, you can go on and never find the truth. Because you are not including yourself in the experiment.
Right. Well, now, there's several questions here. One is, what do you mean by yourself? Are we all different selves?
We are all different selves in as much as we are all different pasts, yes.
But otherwise, we're not.
We are individual consciousness, which
Because
is a
of our
uniqueness.
past.
No. We are individual consciousness, and yet we are one. There's only one consciousness, but it is made up. But it is a quality of consciousness that it is totally one, and yet individual in its ability to occupy a position in time and space in the past. It can have an individual consciousness, but it knows it is one with the total, what you call the implicate order. It knows I am the implicate order. Use your term.
Yeah, well, would you say then that all our consciousness is one, that we are under the ground is one?
Yes, the field is one.
The field is
I
one.
use the word, I am the field of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the ground is contained in the field, so all the experiments and all the particles are within my field. And you could say the same if you would utter it.
Yes. Now, why do we have you and me? You see, it's not. You see, there are various questions. Why is there
That's fair
time,
enough.
for example?
That's fair enough, yes. There is time because the idea of time, is it not, which you are endeavoring to do with your particles and various things, is to get time up to the present. In other words, to get back to the beginning. Is that not so? Are you not examining all the particles to get time to find the last particle which is at the beginning? And isn't the beginning back at the present?
No, you could say the immediate.
I'd use immediate. I am the immediate consciousness, I say. You don't have to believe
Now,
me.
the past is the mediated consciousness.
Yes, the immediate consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So all your examination of particles is the examination of the mediate to get back to the immediate.
Now, why is mediation necessary? See, it's not clear why consciousness should be doing all this. I mean, producing.
That is a
past.
question.
Yeah.
And I have to ask you a question.
Why?
Why are you doing all this
Yeah.
experimentation instead of finding the implicate order within? Why are you looking for an implicate order in your subconscious and outside? The subconscious being your thought patterns and your idea patterns, the extricate order being the material order. Why are you looking only in there? For the subconscious is the medial, is the intermediate. Why are you wasting? Actually, I'm just asking this hypothetically. Why are you wasting your time?
Yes.
Why are you?
Yes, well, I could ask another question. Do you see any value in scientific work?
Scientific work is wonderful. It is so creative. It is magnificent. It is an example of the creativity of man. Discovering the wonder of the sense-perceived existence. I love science, but it has no value. It has no value. It is serving nothing. Now, unless intelligence serves something of value, you can forget it. To put someone on the moon is serving nothing of value whatever. Now, that is its problem.
Yeah, well,
Now, why is it wasting this time?
yes, well, and I wanted to ask the question, why has consciousness split into individuals who are evolving in time? That's why has consciousness involved itself in time?
Yes. In the beginning, we're going to use a model. Okay, so I'm going to use a past model because that's all we've got. We've only got the extricate order. And that includes the subconscious and the material order. In the beginning, life began on Earth in form as an extra part of the extricate order. It then evolved up to a certain point, let's say to the human mechanism, where the human mechanism, the human brain, which is completely unique on the planet, evolved out of all the other brains. At that point, the creative spirit, that which is you, came into existence. It did not evolve with the body.
And when did it come into existence?
Well, we're going to use time or past. I'll just give a figure. Right? Give a figure. I'll say round about 12,000 years ago. Just to indicate time. The rest of the time, from the beginning of life on Earth, was the development of the apparatus.
Yes, now that...
Before that, man was not creative.
Yes, and the thing is not clear is this, that I'm trying to get clear that here you're presupposing matter as existent and evolving, and the spirit as coming out of that, or at least coming at a certain moment there.
Yes.
Whereas previously we're saying that the consciousness is independent, and that the past is only a kind of a mediation.
Yes, that is so.
So it seems there are two different points of view there.
Fair enough. There are two different, because they come in like this. One comes in from there, that's the material order.
Yeah.
There. And here is the creative order.
Yeah.
Creative in itself as an individual expression of consciousness. Because this was not an individual, this was an expression, although it didn't exist, because we've got to say it's for the past, because the past then did or did not exist, it doesn't matter, because the creative area did exist. The creative existed, because this can only take its rise from the creative.
Yeah, well, I'm not very clear how these are related. You see that?
Yes, it makes it very difficult then. Yes, I understand. I mean, I've written a whole book on this thing.
Yeah, you see, this is one of the problems that's always been there. If you say matter is unfolding from consciousness, then you say, why, in time, then you turn around and say that matter is evolving in the body, and suddenly there appears
the creative element appears. That is the self-reflective capability which man did not have before.
Could we look at it this way, that consciousness is eternal?
Yes.
But that matter is evolving, but I don't know exactly why consciousness is producing matter. And then at a certain stage, consciousness can reflect on itself through this material being, right?
Yes.
What you can call, maybe you say that's the moment of creativity.
Reflect on itself.
To see itself, as it were, you see that?
To see itself in the matter.
In matter.
So that it turns itself back on itself and stops looking in the matter itself, which is a part of evolution.
But the matter reflects it back to itself.
That is so.
So it sees itself through matter, right?
Yes, or better still, yes, it reflects, it's forced to eventually, like the individual scientist must do. The body of science will never do it. The individual scientist, forced by the sincerity and earnestness of his inquiry, to eventually look back on himself. And then he sees, my God, that and this is one. The very point you try to make in your paper here, that the fact is, where I come from, that the material is the consciousness, and the consciousness is the material. There is nothing in between, except the past. But I have eliminated the past.
Yes, well, what is the past then? I mean, the past is
the notion.
The past is a kind of appearance.
No, the notion.
Notion, right?
Yeah, there's no appearance of the past. The past is all right in itself, because that is the part of the consciousness. But it's the notion that makes us inquire into the past, that gets between the past and the present. Or the
Why do you
immediate.
call it the notion?
The thinking apparatus that needs to know.
Yes. Now, why
That
is
is
that
the
there?
aberration.
Why does it do that?
Because it is an aberration, as they say, it is running from the fact of death. It has to do something to escape from its identification with the matter which dies. The consciousness became identified with the matter which dies.
Why did it do that? Why did it make such a mistake?
Because it tried to build, it got restless and started to build as mind, because consciousness is not mind.
What is the difference?
Mind is projective and willful in its own right. I need to know. That is willfulness. I know has no willfulness. Would that be right?
Well, if you want to put it that way, then that mind has desire, right?
Yes.
I mean, because need gives rise
But
to
I don't
desire.
like to use terms that everyone,
No,
I
but I
like to
mean-
use in some new terms
Yeah,
because
but-
that one's worn out a bit,
Yeah,
isn't it?
but need gives rise to desire, right? The sense
Yes,
of need.
yes, need is, yes, except, yes, need gives rise to willful, if one has not overcome willfulness. So therefore, I need to know. Now I say where I come from, I don't need to know anything. Therefore, I am implicit, and the truth is implicit in me, and I don't need to know anymore. Now that doesn't mean you've got to believe me, but I have to say where I come
Yeah,
from.
but then what is your attitude to knowledge? If you don't need to know, are you still willing or interested in knowing?
Oh, I love to meet with you, and I love science, and I read.
Mhm.
That is the past part of me. And I can live with that past as I am going to let it die. And it doesn't matter if it dies, because I am not afraid, because I am forever. So you see, I can live with the past. That is the wonder of consciousness, without being afraid of being cut off by death, because I have gone back to where I escaped from into wanting to know. I am no longer afraid of death.
You're saying that the need to know comes to escape the fear of death.
That is so.
And that must come from another mistake, which is to believe that you are the same as the thing that dies. Right?
That is so.
Now,
Very simple.
Why should consciousness make such a mistake?
Consciousness didn't. Man, by the very, it wasn't a mistake, it's an aberration, you see, because past existed. Because past, in the beginning of time was much slower. You see, time is only related to intelligence. We're going to get a little, well, do you want me to go into this yet?
Well, I mean, if you like, I mean, it's a little fast.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you all right, Mr. Bohm?
Oh yeah.
I'm not too.
Huh?
I'm not too intense, am I?
No, I don't mind that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Would you like to? Where we're at, would you like to, because I put certain propositions to you. You might.
Which propositions then?
Well, I put certain to you that time. What did I say? The last 2 points that you made there, and I said about. I can only remember where I was up to, where I was going to say that time was much slower.
Yes, you want to say.
But I don't want to say that. I want to say where we were at before, so that you could.
Yes, well, we're trying to say that what's going on.
Oh yes, about death. That's right. And why man wanted to know.
Why you call it an aberration? But why should it be an aberration? You see, and you said the explanation is that time was much slower. At least that was part of it.
Yes.
Now, why does that produce an aberration?
Well, time is past, and as long as there's time, there has to be an aberration. There has to be a distraction. Because time is not used just to be in consciousness. See, in the timeless, there's no time. But as soon as something appears outside of you, there then starts to be time.
Yes, well, all of this is the past. All that we
Right,
see,
all of this is the past.
even though it seems to be immediate, it's still the past.
That's right. Now that came from the very first life forms on earth up to when man entered the body as a creative being. Now, as soon as he entered the body as a creative being, let us say 12,000 years ago, just for a time, right?
Do you have any reason to say 12,000 years ago?
No more than what someone has by carbon dating, which is also a part of the past dating itself. So that's, or 15 million, 1,000 million years ago. That's a pretty rough guess. But it's just to indicate more recently than what man normally associates with the coming in of the spirit or whatever. I don't use religious terms. I use where I come from because I know the past. I say I know the past. Now, when man entered as a reflective intelligence, which is creative, into the body that was prepared for him, he immediately entered the past. There were things apart from himself. He could see the past. That means time was there. Because time can only appear with a past.
Who prepared this? Or what prepared it?
What prepared it?
You say the body was prepared.
Yes.
By whom?
Yes. It was prepared by the consciousness.
By the universal consciousness.
Yes. by the cosmic consciousness.
Cosmic, yes.
Yeah. Yes, it was prepared. But I'm not going to go off into something that I don't take responsibility of. I'm not going to introduce some God like that, because I don't work that way. Everything is like the scientist I work, only in my way, where everything I try to put in its order. And I have written where that, which is a right question, but I can't answer it in 2 minutes, where that consciousness came from, and that consciousness, and then that consciousness, and the whole thing back. But we've got to stay really on the edge of time at this moment, because I can't go into the other. But so when man, if you brought your consciousness, when you wake up in the morning, if I could demonstrate it, time begins for you. Before that, there was no time. Is that correct?
Well, if you're not dreaming,
Well, that's a different sort of time.
it's still a kind of time.
Yeah, but it's a slower time, I think you'll agree.
Is it? I mean, I don't know if it's slower or faster.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, it's a different kind of time,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the point...